think Kurt had as much fun flying the Stinger II today as I did filming it. And I don't say that too often
Probably
about
a little more.
Yeah, maybe. A little more, but it was just it was a nice looking plane to film. It sounds dumb, but it really was. It had nice clean lines. It looked like you had a lot of fun. I know you had a lot of fun.
It's real visible in the air.
Yeah,
That's
very
one thing
much
about the Stinger is a really super visible pattern with the white on the wings and then the red and stuff.
Yeah.
You always know where you're at, which way you're facing.
Definitely. So let's jump into the 5x5 review. Build as advertised. We got a 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Yeah. Yep. This is an ARF kit and it's a fuel plane. So there's for people that are electric and have never built fuel before and you kind of move in that direction or you want to try it out, add about 30–40% more build time on your first plane.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to take you a while to understand how linkages have to line up to the carb and make sure everything's free moving and then work through the motor mounts. Like you put a motor on the motor mount, there isn't pre-drilled holes. Like with electric, everything's done for you and everything's thought out for you, and you fit the pieces in for the most part. Unless you go off, you go off the plans or something, or you kind of go off on your own area. But with fuel, it's always a little bit of adjustment and like the cowl, you have to cut that cowl in.
Yeah,
there's no patterns.
That becomes an issue of how good you want it to look too.
Absolutely, you can slap it together and have it look kind of rough.
I've seen some cowls that look like kindergarten scissors went through them. Yeah. But I
actually used kindergarten scissors. Yeah,
sure you did.
Actually, I used a drum tool.
You may not have been the one actually using the kindergarten scissors because that looks pretty good. No.
Move it, it was good. The build was straightforward, but you're going to take your time, and there was only a couple things that really I wanted to do that the directions didn't cover, and it was just based on builder experience.
Yeah.
So it was pretty solid, straightforward set of plans.
Well, finish, you gave it a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, it's 4.5, but it's balsa build up, and it's expertly covered, like you'd expect from this family of brands. So it looks nice in the box. In fact, I didn't have to take the iron to it. Everything was perfect.
You're right. I remember seeing that when we took it out of the box, how tight everything was.
Very well put together.
Power, 5 out of 5.
We used the 46AX OS Max motor on it and used the 11.6 prop. So we had the ball bearing 46 with the 11.6 prop, and that was about middle of the prop range for the 46AX. You go from a 10 to a 12, and there was a couple options in between. I shot right down the middle, stuck the 11.6 on there, and it was right at slightly greater than 1-to-1 thrust ratio.
Yeah.
It was funny, about halfway through the tank, I could pull up into a vertical and just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. I thought, well, I expected it to slow down a little bit, and I was going to do my nice little power on hammerhead and stuff, and down we went, but it kept going. I had to back off the throttle and then horse it again and push it around the top.
Sure.
So, power was great. The power range was excellent. The OS Max 46s, I've had experience with those before. Rob, I think you've even played around with them a little bit in the past. They're a solid motor, man. They break in really, really well, and they give you real smooth power delivery. And the idle is just amazing. It's every time I listen to it idle, you can hover around, I swear, 900 RPM, and it just sits there and
I was impressed at how smooth it sounded today. And we got to give a shout out to
Dick
our
Chambers
buddy.
Helped us out over at the airport. He's been a long time RC flyer and has a phenomenal ear for gas motors, or glow motors. So he went through and did the final high-speed adjustment with us, and just did a sanity check and made a couple tweaks and tunes on it at the end, and it really worked out extremely well.
It's amazing to watch these guys that have done this for so many years that they can just sit there and listen and just know exactly what's happening with that motor. They know what it needs, what it's going to need, what you can anticipate.
Right.
And it's neat.
And I've done a lot of surface glow motor work. So put it in a car, put it in a boat or something like that. I'm fine. I can tweak and tune it out. But having that constant load of the prop changes the dynamics of that RPM range and of the torque curves, and also the way it sounds as it goes through its note changes. So having that ear is invaluable. There's no doubt about it.
Definitely. Ground handling, 4.5 out of 5.
Yep, the slow speed handling was good on landing. It was very manageable on takeoff, but the tail does get a little squirrely on you. I think it's a tail wheel, the really soft foam tail wheel. It kind of wants to just drift
mushes around a little bit.
Yep. To where you had to stay on your rudder.
Yeah.
But I dialed some expos in. I'll put my settings in there. They worked out extremely well on the Stinger.
Yeah.
And I went by the factory to get the adjustments in, by the factory throws, but then I put in some of my own expos, and they felt pretty darn good. So.
And don't share those with anybody.
Well, I will, yeah. I'll put them out there. I'll put them out there. I share. I'm generous.
Durability, 4 out of 5.
It's a built-up balsa, and but the wings come off, which is going to make it a little better in transport. So you're not going to bang it up as much if you don't want to. But
it helps save some hanger rash too.
Verticals are real solid on it. So unless you do something really crazy, you're not gonna tear it up and transport it all. But if you stuff it, it's going to break. Guaranteed. It's big enough. It has enough mass that it's going to.
I like the way you said that. Like I was kind of.
It's most likely going to partially explode when you hit the ground.
If you stuff it, it's going to break.
It will. It will.
I can show you foam planes that are supposed to be durable that can break too if you stuff them.
That's right.
That's right. Pilot experience. Flight as advertised. You gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yep. The Stinger it's a mid-wing Aerobat, so we know what those airframes should feel like. They should be cut really, really solid lines. You should be able to hold knife edges. You should be able to do a lot of things that a symmetrical airframe affords you. Inverted flight should be pretty much non-eventful.
Yeah.
The Stinger met all those expectations. It definitely handled inverted flight great. Knife edges were beautiful. Outside knife edges were nice. Inside-outside loops. I mean, just name them. If you want to do conventional aerobatics, it was right inside the pattern. Just boop, boop, boop. It did exactly what you'd expect it to. So from that standpoint, it was fantastic. And then when you got to get a little bit crazy and start doing stuff that usually you'll get the airplane feeling a little looser.
Yeah.
It snapped right back into control. Yeah. So very, very comfortable flight experience in Stinger. In fact, if you're an electric guy or electric pilot and you're kind of looking at that mid-wing fuel conversion, you're looking to step into the fuel area, the Stinger is a great step. It's a real confidence builder. So and that's important.
Well, it looked solid.
Oh yeah.
Air. I mean,
and when I say confidence builder and I say it's solid, that's not to say it can't get wild. I mean, as soon as you throw it on high rates, man, that thing is snapping and rolling and twisting like it.
But it just looked like it was. You had it under control at all points, all times. It didn't have any of that washy, slippy look at all. It just snap.
Yeah, it's beautiful control, beautiful authority in the air.
All right. Well, flight time, you gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean the tank in the 46AX, in being electric pilots.
Yeah, we're used to.
We've been doing so many pilot reviews on electrics. About the 7-8 minute mark, you're like, okay, let's bring her down or check it out, check our battery levels and stuff. This just keeps on going.
Yeah, it does.
I flew it for 8 minutes and had half tank left, just under half a tank. So that's a nice long flight,
sure,
and that's worse than it through a review flight too, where you're just pouring the coals to it. So.
All right, field size. You definitely want to fly this at a flying field.
Yeah. This is a flying field plane. Yeah. This is a classic AMA club field or private club that has insurance. You can do a lot of damage with a plane this size with this kind of power. So.
Okay, portability, 4.5 out of 5.
Yep, wing bolts pop the wings right off, like I mentioned before, so you can slip it right in the back seat if you want to. Other than the glow and the castor oil dripping down on the seat.
You can put it in your back seat if you want.
I think my
wife might have a second opinion
one
on that.
nice thing about this, though, too, I'm going to go right through that. With this Pitts muffler, is the way it points down, the way that the outputs are, it drains out really, really well. It doesn't hold anything. So once I cleaned up the drippings on the outer edge, it didn't drip once on us from that point forward.
No,
so
it didn't. It didn't.
That's one cool thing about that Pitts muffler.
And my table's still nice and clean.
Yep.
All right, skill level, intermediate.
Yeah, again, an aerobatic airframe has a lot of flexibility, a lot of agility in the air. So you're going to want to have your rudder turns down really solid. You're going to want to have your crosswind takeoffs and landings down really solid. Before you move into this type of airframe, and that puts you in the intermediate slot.
Yeah.
That's a classic intermediate pilot. Crosswind takeoffs, landings, and rudder turns. Then
How'd you like my crosswind landings today? They were pretty sweet, weren't they?
Man, some days you're on, some days you're not. But you brought it down in one piece. You did some 2-point landings with some tricycle landing gear.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the rears and the nose up. It was it was the deadly 3-wheel ATV
you know
accident.
What? There's not a mark on that plane, though.
There isn't, not a thing. I thought you were going to hit the prop tips, but you made it out all right. Let's
wrap this thing up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. You can go to the website at tubefly.com and see the full review on the Lanier RC Stinger II. If you have any questions, there's the Ask To icon in the lower left corner of every screen on the website. Click on that. It'll send us a message, and we'll get back to you in a couple business days and get your questions answered. I'm Kurt with Two Brothers Hobby.
And I'm Rob. Thanks for watching.